What's up guys, I am Knight and welcome to the first video on this channel. Today I'm going to rank all the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books from S tier to F tier, where S tier is the best books, A tier is very great books but not the best, B tier is great books, C tier is good books, D tier is not so good books, E tier is pretty bad books, and F tier is just bad, the worst. I am going to start with the worst book and continue my way up. Now this tier list is just my opinion, don't take it personally. Feel free to tell me where you rank the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books in the comment below. Okay, so coming up at F tier, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid Double Down, the 11th book in the series. Now, when Jeff Kinney started to write this book, he clearly was out of ideas. The book had too many plots, and it was very difficult to follow with all the stories. I don't remember so much of the book, but I think it was something with Greg fighting with his best friend Robley again, and that Greg got a new friend that liked to play Lego or something. So yeah, very bad book. Coming up at E tier, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Third Wheel. Now this has to be the saddest book of them all. The book is basically just Greg trying to find love and a date for the Valentine's prom. I like the idea of having his uncle Gary staying at their house throughout the book, and Gary also had some funny lines, but all in all it was a quite boring book. It didn't give me such a feeling to the book, you know. It just focused on one thing, which was love. I think it also should have featured some other things. The next book in E tier is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Ugly Truth. Now, the reason I like this book better than The Third Wheel is because this book had more into it. I liked more the plot, and it also had some funny jokes. I also liked the idea of the sleepover in the school, and that the parents got mad and stuff because they didn't had contact with the kids. Now the problem with this book is that it's sometimes a little confusing to know where you are in the story, and it's going a little slow because of Gammy and stuff, the old grandma. Next up is The Last Straw. This book really focused on the dad, and that's not a bad thing. I just think they could have done a lot more with this book. When you read throughout the book, some moments you get very bored, and there are not so many funny jokes in the book. But what I liked about the book is that his dad is he wants to make a man out of Greg and show him how it is to be a man and not a wimp. But as we all know, the dad failed, and the same did the book. Okay, so in D tier I have one book, and that is Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Hard Luck. The reason I like this book better than the other four I have talked about is because it was a little of everything, you know. This book is about Greg trying to find new friends because he lost Rowley to his new girlfriend. It had as the Double Down, it had many plots, and it was sometimes difficult to follow with the story. But I like the idea of having Rowley and Abigail as a couple, and Greg being mad about it. I think it was very funny. And also Frigley had his moments in this book. I like the idea of the Mingo guys But the reason this book is not higher in the list is because, as Double Down, it didn't focus on one thing. It had a lot of plots and it was sometimes difficult to follow with the stories. I didn't like what they actually did to Sweetie. Like, they made him fat, like Fat Thor in Endgame. I didn't like that. I think they showed Sweetie as a lazy, fat dog, and I'm coming back to it, but I actually liked Sweetie. I think he was the best animal in the Wimpy Kid series, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so the books from now on is very good. These are the books I think are very good. In C tier, I have the original first book, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Now, this is the book that started it all. It had just some very good lines. It was very good book. And yeah, we got to know Greg and who he is and how he lives. And we got to know his best friend Rowley. And we also got to know Greg's family. But the reason I put this book in C tier and not higher in the list is because today this book is very basic. It had some boring moments. Like, don't take me wrong, the book is very good. But the books that are higher in this list are just very good. I liked the RV Wimpy Kid, but it was just not my favorite, you know? There are some other books I think are better than this. But all in all, very good book, and it's a must-have if you are a Diary of a Wimpy Kid fan, and a book I can reread anytime. Kicking up B tier, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, RODRICK Rules. Now, this book is just great, man. It had many funny jokes. I liked RODRICK in this book. He was a very good antagonist in the book. And yeah, I just liked the idea of having RODRICK, Greg's big brother, like his own book, like a book that focuses on him. But there's one problem with RODRICK Rules, and that is that the book focused too much on the brother. The brother is like 90% of the book. Like, of course, the book is called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, RODRICK Rules. What do I expect? He's even on the front side of the book. But I just think they could have done like a little more with the other characters. I know Greg had this thing with Chirag, and that Rowley had this thing with being hurt at his home twice. But I just think they could have let the other characters get a little more writing time in the book. But other than that, a very good book, and some people consider this book to be the best in the series, so yeah, I respect that, I guess. Right next to RODRICK Rules, I have Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Cabin Fever. Now, this book focuses on money. Now, I like RODRICK better than money, but I like Cabin Fever better than RODRICK Rules. I am going to tell you why. Cabin Fever is about how Greg and his family got stuck inside his house because it snowed too much, and how the family had to do things without his dad in the house. His dad, throughout the first 5 books, his dad was like in the house saying, yeah, to Greg and RODRICK, had to do that, helping them with everything, basically. His dad was like the boss in the house. But because his dad was at his job, when it snowed too much, he couldn't drive home, so he went to a hotel and had a super good time. So the family had to figure out how they were supposed to do things without his dad. and it got even worse when Manny broke their mom's glasses. Now, as Roderick rules, these books focus a little too much on Manny, but not so much as Roderick in Roderick rules. Like, Manny has his moments in Cabin Fever. The family finds out that he took all the food and a lot of other stuff and turned off the electricity in the house. They showed Greg in school, and like a lot of things happened outside of the house, and that makes this book better than Roderick rules for me. Now we have come to A tier, and the first book I have in A tier is Dog Days. Now, I mean, this is the best book of the original 6 books, and I'm going to tell you why. When you read this book, you just get the summer feeling. You get the feeling that you are laying on a beach and reading this book. It's so good. What I like about this book is that it doesn't focus on a specific character or a specific story. And it doesn't have a lot of plots either. It's just that Greg, who wants to sit inside his room playing video games, but his mom tells him to go outside. That's like what happens. And then Greg have to find out if he wants to go outside and yada yada yada. But yeah, he has his moments. He and Robley is going to like the club, and they are having a good time buying a lot of smoothies. Greg have to find out how he can pay back Mr. Jefferson for all the smoothies he bought. It was some very funny moments in the book when Greg like had to make money by clipping the lawn for a friend of his grandma. I also like the idea of Rowley and Greg like breaking up as friends, and in Ugly Truth we see that Greg has to find a new friend, but then he gets back together with Rowley in the end. But yeah, back to Dog Days. Very good book. The mom is very fun in book. She's like taking pictures of everybody, and she's all over the place. His dad is not so much in the book, but he is fine at the moments he had. It was funny that Greg's family got a new dog and how they had to like deal with it. All in all, just a great book, and I really recommend it. This book is also a must-have for Diary of a Wimpy Kid fans. Okay, next is The Getaway. This is the first book in the series where we get to see Greg actually traveling with a real plane. What's so special with this book and so different from other books is that it takes place in a whole new place. You know, it's an island. I don't remember the name, but the book is just great. It had its lines, its moments, and I liked how the family was just so stressed getting the plane, but it was delayed, and they had to wait 1 hour. It got delayed to 2 hours, and then 3 and 4, and it just continued. And when they finally got into the plane, Greg had like his dad had sat on the first class, and they like switched, and Greg never got the chance to sit there. And it was very funny because when they finally got to the island, like they thought, oh, it was so good because they showed that video of people having a great time there. But they like first they forgot their baggage at the airport. Second, there was a lot of insects and weird animals there that went inside their food, and it was just chaos. I just love it. I love the book. It was just chaos everywhere. Roderick got sunburned. The dad got his stomach problems, and I like just in the end when they were going to go back, they found out, or Greg found out that this is a great place if you don't go with a family. And I just like the book, and that's why it's my 5th favorite book, top 5. It's a 12th book in the series, so pretty new. It came out in 2017, and I just recommend to buy it now. If you don't have it, buy it, read it, you're going to love it. And yeah, that's all I had to say about this book. At 4th place, I got Diary of a Wimpy Kid Wrecking Ball. Now, before I was going to start to read this book, I was a little skeptical of if the book was going to be good or bad. Like, I haven't read anything about reviews on the internet or videos or anything, so I didn't know anything about the book or what it was about. But I knew from the front line that it was something with a wrecking ball, because that was the name of the book. I started to read the book. It was pretty good. I like the idea of them getting rid of stuff, and it just got into them moving, and yeah, it was a funny concept. I liked the idea. It was a very fun book. Rowley was not so much in it, but he had his moments with his magnet set. In the end, the family decided to not move yet, because some chaos happened with the house, and they couldn't sell it, and they didn't afford a new house. But it was fine. Like, I didn't want them to move. It would be sad to, like, for Greg to get a new friend, but we'll see in the next book if they're going to move. It's up to Jeff Kinney, I guess. So yeah, this book was not a disappointment. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend it. 3rd place goes to The Meltdown. Now, this book is like the end game of the series. I just love the idea of the book, you know? The global warming being this problem, Greg like having problems at school. In the end of the book, it starts to snow, and I just like the idea of the snowball war, and like I like the idea of the two different streets. We have Upper Street and Downer Street. I just love it, and I love these different personalities of the characters. Then it's a war between the uppers and the downers. People from other street comes, and some scout girls and the Mingo guys, and it's just totally chaos. Like everyone from all the previous books are there just fighting in a snowball war. It's just amazing. I just love it, and that's why it's my 3rd favorite book. Now we got S tier, and these are the best books in the series, in my opinion. Now, getting silver is Diary of a Wimpy Kid Old School. This is the most underrated book in the series. Just saying. This book is not getting enough popularity. People are judging this book for being too boring. I had a very good time with this book. Like, I've been a scout. I like to go out in the forest and camp. But this book, I just like the idea of him, like, trying to live old school, and how the mom, like, she means that teenagers today are too much on screen and phones and computers and all that, and that they don't know how to socialize with people. And that's a problem today. I like how his grandpa comes over, and how when they are alone, I like that they are messing things up with the car and stuff. And Greg is so afraid of getting yelled at from the dad that he goes to the camp with the school. And that's the best part in the book, the camp at school. Like how the food is so disgusting and just mashed together with food from like 5 years ago. And yeah, of course, everyone are getting hurt at the camp. I think it was funny how Mr. Jefferson got this infection, had to go home with Rowley, that got a tooth in his forehead, and that Greg's dad had to step up for Rowley's dad as the assistant of Greg's group in the camp. I like the moment where Greg's dad just sat on a chair reading newspaper while Greg and his teammates had to build a shelter. I just liked how the dad didn't care at all. The main antagonist in the book was Scrapping Silas, but it turned out that it was just a myth from Greg's dad to like hold the other people away from his secret bathroom house. The whole book is very funny, and I think the book is very underrated. So yeah, that was all I had to say of Old School. Before I get to number 1, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy this tier list, and let's get right into it. My favorite book in the entire Wimpy Kid series is The Long Haul. I have just 2 things to say about this book. 1, it's super good. 2, I love the idea. Okay, so let me get right into it. Long Haul is about how the family goes on a road trip and how Greg's mom got the idea from a family magazine. I love how the book is so varied. I really like how the whole road trip is a challenge for Greg because he has to sit in the back with the baggage, and like so much chaos happens throughout the road trip and so many things. The man gets a new pig, he wins a new pig, and the pig is crazy, it bites Greg. Greg has to go to animal nurse, and this is just the best book in my opinion. This is my favorite book, and I could have read this like every week without getting bored of it. And the antagonist in the book is just the best in the whole series. The Beardo guy, man. The Beardos, dude. They are just so funny. the Beardo dude is just so funny. He and his family, like how Greg and his family meet up with the Beardos again and again throughout the book. It's just funny. And how Greg thought that the Beardos stole their things at the water park because they wanted to take revenge because Greg yelled at the kids. Jeff Kinney really did a good job with this book, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you, Jeff Kinney, for this amazing book. If you haven't read this book, I recommend you do, because it is a must-have for Wimpy Kid fans. That was the whole tier list. I hoped you enjoyed it. Here it is, if you want to see it in full perspective. And I'm seeing you guys in the next tier list video. Peace.